And I'm Jo.
And this is the first episode of the Society of Unpublished Authors.
Woohoo! We would like to acknowledge that we're recording this podcast in Western Sydney where we live, and that is on the lands of the Darug people. We'd like to acknowledge the traditional owners who've been telling stories on this land for many, many tens of thousands of years.
Yes, wonderful. No bears, no unicorns, and no dead grannies. What on earth are publishers looking for?
That's what we're going to be talking about today.
Let's dive in. Last year, while attending a panel, we heard a publisher asked what she was looking for in a manuscript. She shared what she was not looking for anymore: books about bears, unicorns, or dead grandparents.
Just because one publisher is saying that, does that mean we take that advice and we don't write any stories about dead grannies, unicorns, or bears?
Yeah, this has sparked that idea in us that you can't predict the trends in publishing. So should we write stories for what we think the trends are, or should we write some stories that are authentic to us?
Yeah, I agree. Like, that's a really good thing to think about and unpack. And I've been reading this really great book by a guy called Rick Rubin. He's like this big deal record producer, and his book is called The Creative Act. And something that he says is that for him, the audience comes last. And I guess for us as unpublished aspiring authors, the publisher is an audience. But for him, he's saying that the audience comes last, not because he doesn't care about the audience, but because the best thing that he can do is make something that's authentic, and that he puts the audience last, not because he doesn't like the audience, but because the process of making something specifically for an audience or with someone else in mind just really waters it down for him, and he's not having those first sparks of creativity and joy. What do you think about that?
Yes, I can totally see where he's coming from. I think it's also that feeling of when you're at work and you feel someone walk past your shoulder, and now your spelling mistakes and your typing's a little off, and you start to have those being watched or being perceived and over-analyzing. That shouldn't really be, where your head is at when you're in the creative process.
I love that. I think over-analyzing is
Yes.
the worst thing you can possibly be doing when you're coming particularly with a fresh idea and a fresh draft.
Yes.
You want to just get rid of all those voices, all that imposter syndrome, all that I'm writing this for someone, and just come at it really purely.
Yes.
Yeah, I love that. And it reminds me even just like not even necessarily thinking about the end product, like trying to be like little kids. When you see little kids and they're just not really interested in what they've made, they just love the process. Like, I can think back to when my own kids were little, going to playgroup, they'd make this beautiful thing at playgroup and it would take them ages, and they'd stick everything on and la la la, and then on the way home in the car they'd just destroy it. They just pull it apart bit by bit, and I could never understand why they wouldn't wreck this beautiful thing that they made. But for them, the thing they made is not the important thing.
Yes, it's the process.
Yeah, because you're an early childhood teacher, so is that a thing?
Yes, I mean, there are so many times where you would see children build these wonderful creations and you're thinking, quick, let me get an iPad. I need to take a photo for mom. Like, this is amazing. You're asking questions, and then you turn around and it's gone. And the castle is now a farmhouse, or the zoo no longer has animals and it's a garage, Miss Sarah. And you're just like, oh, okay. And for them, they're just on to the next. They've indulged in this moment. They're living in this beautiful creation, and then time for the new one. They just move on.
Yeah, they're not attached to the thing at all, are
Yes.
they? They don't place the value in the thing. It's the fun they're having making the thing.
Yes.
I love that. So how can we do that as adults?
Especially as authors, if you do get published, you are handing it over to an illustrator and an editor, and your work will be changed, and it will maybe not be exactly what you had in mind. And so you really do need to just indulge in that creation, in the process, and then at some point you have to let your little baby book go.
You do. You can't hang on to it. You've got to really hold it with an open hand.
Yes.
So maybe, a really good way to deal with that is to just find the most joy in the making, and then go on to the next thing. I love that.
Yes.
Okay, so we need to be more like preschoolers.
Yeah.
And less like teachers and librarians.
Get into that mindset.
I love that. And there's also that idea of just doing it for the love of it. So over the past couple of weeks, I've been watching this series on Disney called It's All Country. And it's about country music. I'm not a massive country music fan, but I love seeing shows and documentaries about people creating things like musicians, artists. Give me a clip of Taylor Swift writing a song and I'm just loving it. I'm all in. You're a Swiftie as well, so you get this as well. Like just watching that creative process. And the first episode of this show, it's all country, has this guy in it called Luke Combs, and he's a big deal. He sells out stadiums, he sells thousands of records, and he's got this song called Doing This. And the basic premise of the song is a reporter saying to him, well, if you weren't doing this, what would you be doing? And he's like, I would be doing this.
Yeah.
This is the thing I love. I might be doing it to 3 people in a little dive bar, but I would be playing my guitar. I would be singing my songs. I would be, just doing this thing that I love. And I think for us, we are the Society of Unpublished Authors, as yet untraditionally published. We really need to be like that. We need to think, and we are doing this anyway. We're not thinking, oh, I'm a $1 million selling author, I'm Andy Griffiths, I would be doing this anyway, because we are not.
Yes.
But just finding that absolute joy and love in the making, in the doing, in the creating, in the playing, like toddlers.
Yes.
Yeah, I love that.
I love that.
Okay, doing this. It's going to be our new mantra.
Yes, get into that mindset. Last week, we went to a creative writing workshop in Castle Hill, hosted by the wonderful Alexandria Burnham. And it was a session on creative writing for adults to prepare for the Living Stories Western Sydney Writing Prize, which is coming up. This is a poetry and short story prize, and I believe it does have narrative.
Yeah, narrative,
non-fiction narrative.
Well. Yeah.
And this workshop was maybe 20 people who are all local to our area and are all just doing this. I don't think that any of them are, really big sellers or really highly published authors. I know Alexandria had a new book coming out, which is exciting. But it was just people that live local to you, that are reflecting your community, different backgrounds, diverse ages, and we're all just doing this.
We should call this episode Doing This.
Yeah. It was really wonderful to see and to just be in a room and actually see people like you that have the same passions like you.
Yeah. And it was really interesting too, because we were all the same audience for the texts that we looked at and studied, yet we all perceived them differently. We all had a different idea of, so even if you are writing with an audience in mind, you can't necessarily predict how your audience is going to even receive your book. I guess that's even more reason to not hold it so tightly, because you can't follow it around telling people how to understand your art.
Yes.
They're just going to get what they get, and you don't really have any control. That's really cool. Yeah. But that's a really cool competition that's been going for ages, that WestWords competition, and it's for kids and adults as well, which I love. And I've got a friend who's the local primary school teacher who was telling me yesterday, she's got 28 year 5 and 6 kids coming to a creative writing group at lunchtime who are all trying to write something to enter into the WestWords Living Stories competition. So I think that is just awesome. I love it.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah. All right. Well, we are planning to have a challenge every episode, and we're talking about writing. I love reading books about writing. We got to do the writing as well. So we're going to have a writing challenge or a creating challenge every episode. And the challenge for this week, and we'd love anyone who's listening who wants to join in with the challenge to let us know if you're doing it. Let us know on Instagram. Yeah. So our challenge for this time is to take your most unlikely to be published idea or manuscript, your weirdest, your most wonderful thing that you've got, and spend some time with it. Read it, find the joy in it, find the joy in editing it, or if you think it's perfect, just find the joy in reading it. Yeah. I know what I'm going to pick. I've got a picture book that I wrote about smelly cheese. I took it to my writers group a couple of years ago, and everyone was a bit like, One person even said, I actually don't know who would buy this. So that's my book, but I love it. So I'm going to get my smelly cheese book out, and I'm going to give it a bit more love this time.
Yes.
Have you got something in mind?
No, I don't have anything in mind at the moment. I'll go home and have a dig through my
iPhone notes. There could be anything in there.
That's true. There could be gold.
All right. So that's what we're going to be doing before the next episode. And I think that's about it for us this week. I think we've had a great chat. thank you for joining us on episode 1 of the Society of Unpublished Authors. We would love to hear from you. You can find us on socials under the Society of Unpublished Authors.
Yes.
You can find me on Instagram under Jo_Diggs.
And
Sarah?
me under author Sarah Della Pietra.
Yeah. So that's it for us for this week. So thank you so much for joining us, and happy writing.
Yes, happy writing. Goodbye.